We invite Dr. Sitaraman to lead the presentation. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. What an interesting and exciting conference this is. I told the president yesterday when I met him, the kind of experts he brought, whether financial service bankers like me or economic experts, secretarial practicing professionals, academicians, and the local practitioners in terms of green mission. To start with, bringing Mr. Meher Al-Kabi, what an exciting presentation he did in the first thing in the morning. So the combination of people, the combination of the content and the subject, which are all being sequenced properly. See, it's very important. How do you sequence your theme of the conference? Principle-centered, responsible investments. United Nations has said it as a UN pre. But effectiveness comes in if you tailor a conference. I should thank not only the president, the chairman of the Institute of Company Secretaries of India, and he did a terrific job in putting things together over the months. I insisted that I set the tone yesterday, which I did it. But today is a very technical subject. There's no point in standing in the podium and interacting with you. It's going to be an interactive sessions. It's going to be a dialogue, not a monologue. Let's understand this. So your dynamics should be to mastermind the purpose behind the whole theme. More so, look at the subject which the chapter as well as the president has given. He changed the subject 3 times. First, he said economics. I redefined it as economics. I accepted it. I thought it's going to be factoring the impact of global warming and climate change in the global economics. Then we redefined it to carbon credit, and I got experts who are proficient in terms of exchange management. Again, the next subject, which he said a couple of days before, which I, as a practitioner, I have no problem. I gave him a blank check. The reason why I'm saying is for you to recognize what you preach, you have to practice. I gave him a background. I came from a very, very green, lush green, I should say. You can see the Australian paddy in Tanjore district of Tamil Nadu. The purpose behind me saying is I have never seen throughout my younger days other than green. So how do you create a mission for your life, the purpose for your life, unless you believe in what you do? I believed I have to live with nature. I have to embrace nature. That is what the karma and dharma which I mentioned. The Manu Dharma is what the nature is all about, which is integrating your physical constitution, your constitution of your human body, the same 5 powers, Pancha Bhutam, is synchronizing with the 5 energy sources, the land, the soil which you conserve, and you create your food. That's interconnected to sustainable development. Your water, which you have, which is constitution, 72% is again interconnected, you know it. The sky gives you the gravity for you to stand, walk, sleep, whatever you want to do. The fire is what the energy which you process internally to integrate your rest of food substance and drinking substance. So that forms part of you. The air which you breathe, otherwise you are a log of wood, isn't it? So the idea is to recognize the karma and dharma and the pancha bhutam. That's what the base. Rest of all, you work in a country, you have come to a country rather, which has got an extraordinary mission. Meher Kabi has mentioned this yesterday. You have seen the Abu Dhabi exchange, security exchange. The CEO was here. Again, the global market we are setting up here also, the chief was here, CEO was here. What a combination of local people the team has brought in. We should compliment them once more on behalf of me for the wonderful, wonderful conference which they sit in. So the purpose is to understand these dynamics and make sure this is a place where 35 years before, let me come on the ground because I want to interact with you, I said. See, if you understand the dynamics of a life, it is not pleasure, it is happiness. Am I right, Anand? Avinash Anand? It is not pleasure. Pleasure without consciousness has got no meaning. Am I right? Satisfaction. Somebody asked me,
No.
when I was retiring from the bank last year, leave alone my meritocracy, I come from a very downtrodden family. It's the truth. We fought for subsistence. Now, I believed only one thing. Try to be real in substance. Education is real wealth. When you understand education is ultimate, your ability to articulate solutions, whichever be the challenge you have. We don't have problems in life. We have challenges. Pain is certain. Suffering is optional. When you understand these dynamics, you understand happiness is only a thought. Happiness is only a journey. This is a passing planet. You have a transition phase and you are trying to articulate solutions and inherit a planet with all the infrastructure. It's not your planet. It is not yours. You are not owning. You may own a house. You may own a villa. You may own everything. Nothing belongs to you when the final day, judgment day comes in. Fact. It's a reality. Accept it.
I will try.
Make this journey beautiful. Make this journey purposeful. Make this journey enjoyable. Make this journey your own personal, productive, positive, constructive, energy efficient, value driven legacy which you want to create. That's what the purpose I thought it's appropriate to. So I came to the Gulf 40 odd years before. So what do? When I land in Oman, that was my journey. I qualified as a chartered accountant. I came. I started seeing the beautiful desert, and GCC was well constructed in terms of modernization. Coming from India, the extraordinary set of values were there. The infrastructure was limited, especially where I came from. So in substance, when I saw the modernization, I realized where it came from. It came from carbon emission, substantial portion of it, but it's also got beautiful settings. Look at the bioreserves. Look at the bioreserves this region has got. Al Reen in Qatar, Eco Ventures in Oman, Sharqiya, the turtle reserves. You should see it, Sharqiya region in Oman. Look at Al Farzan in Saudi Arabia. Amazing settings. Look at Desert Line in Align. You should go and see it. You should see it to believe it. Bahrain, Hawar Island. I don't know how many have seen it. Go and see all the islands in Abu Dhabi. Yas Island to Delma. Masdar was created 35, 40 years before with the green infrastructure. Look at the considered vision in terms of execution. Green energy, renewables was thought through in a country where there is a per capita carbon emission is on the higher side. That's the logic. COP28 was conducted. 81 billion money has already been procured. You look at a website, you see the monitoring pattern. You have to believe it. Now, the reason why I'm saying this, it is not just we understand and then walk out. How do you change in your own walk of life, personal life, as well as professional life? Am I right, Anand? So when it comes to practice, there are challenges. So I said a story. As a banker, can I do it? The answer is yes. Should I do it? The answer is yes. Will it cost me in terms of my stay in the fraternity, banking fraternity, or my job? Possibly yes. That's what I was confronting. So how do we move forward? Because purposeless life is a waste of time. It's a journey which I've been given for a limited time. So if I engage in that profession as banking, can I practice green banking? That was my question. I was at rock bottom of the pyramid. Leave alone, I reached higher levels. That was incidental. So the integral part of your journey, leave the incidents. Integral part of your journey is to set a clear vision. How do you do green banking? When you invest or lend, repeat again. Let me repeat again. It is when you invest or lend, if you have a portion of the risk-weighted capital, it's not your money, it's the public money. It's the shareholders' money. A portion of the risk-weighted capital, if it can be allocated, if your board consent, if socially responsible projects, it's not a charity again. Understand this. I was running a bank eventually. I was running a bank at the age of 35. That's a different story. I'm not here to tell you that my personal life, professional advantage which you can effectively bring in when it comes to designing and devising a corporate strategy. That's the bottom line. So when you do it, what I did is what I'm sharing it with you. Then I'm going to ask you some of the fantastic brains here. I've interacted in the last 2 days. I will pick up your own journey. I'm going to ask you questions. That's why I say I'm going to have a dialogue with you. So a portion of the risk-weighted capital can be invested or lent. The investment has to be commercially viable. The lending has to be commercially viable. No question. Otherwise, why should the shareholders keep me in the job? Unless I give the right kind of internal rate of return or return on investments, the balance sheet doesn't work. The profit loss account doesn't work. The operating financial performance doesn't work. If you don't have performance, nobody gives you a free lunch. Nobody gives you a job. So you're endangering your solvency if you're not connecting the bridge with your shareholders. Agreed? That's the bottom line. So you have to have all the stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders? Is it the shareholders only? No. It is not only the shareholders. Shareholders, you have to give them the highest rate. If you want to sustain, sustainability is not about mercurial performance, value-driven. It is not only for the present generation, it's also for the future generation. When it comes to job, when you are a fighter for survivor, when you want to go for a job and you are factoring a strategy which is not in consonance with the rest of the world, how are you going to survive? Leave alone, I managed a bank over 20 years. The bottom line is to recognize you have to take care of shareholders. You have to take care of customers. You have to take care of the regulators because they are watching you. They're monitoring you. They're monitoring your performance. Are you socially responsive? Are you doing a social risk management in substance? Why? Why there are regulators for the financial institutions? You should know. The shareholders' money is limited. 10 times I can easily leverage in this part of the world. Leave alone Lehman Brothers collapsed with 178 times of the shareholders' equity was their exposure. I'm a witness to it. You don't want to over leverage. You want to make sure you leverage on the capital. That's what is credit creation, isn't it? So when you have 10 times of the shareholders' money as lending, you have to have at least 12 times as deposits. So 12 times of your shareholders' money is what your public trusts on you. So you have to necessarily make sure the regulators are going to watch you. Regulators are monitoring you. The minute you say you are listed, all the more reasons, widely held. So your accountability becomes unambiguous. Unambiguous. Any questions so far what I said? Anyone has got any doubt? So more than the shareholders' money, you have public at large at stake. So whether you run a private bank or a public bank, whether you run a local bank or an international outfit, you are public, you are global. Any questions on this? Anyone is not understanding what I'm saying? So it is global, it is public. Any financial institutions. You can call it as the shareholding pattern is private, it is public. That's why regulations are coming in, compliance coming in. I was telling the president of the Institute of Company Secretaries of India, the bigger role is getting into action now for company secretaries. When you do a secretarial practice in professional respects, the value-driven green governance has to be measured and managed and controlled by the secretaries. Mind you, it's not a green audit alone. So that's responsiveness. Now, when it comes to accountability, understand these dynamics. So in a situation, how do you create value-driven business model? You are having a business, whether you run a manufacturing industry, whether you run a trading industry, or a banker like me. You have to create a model where you have to strategize, your business strategy has to incorporate ESG mission, CSR mission, green mission. This is what I did. How do you create when it comes to corporate banking? Or when it comes to retail banking? When it comes to treasury management? How do you do it when it comes to investment management? We had wonderful sessions. Patty has been the center point of it. I saw it, I watched it with interest, and I know him very well. As a practicing banker, I rolled him many times in my own knowledge management sessions. Now he's also on the green governance side from his institutional perspective. Now, the big picture is factoring the green mission, ESG mission, CSR mission, or climate change mission, whichever way you want to call it as, into your business strategy. How many of you are accepting this point? Anyone else? Yeah, let me ask. Let me ask, because I've been interacting with these fine ladies, the company secretaries of two company secretaries here. One is the sustainability officer of L&T Finance, where I'm an independent board member. I'm the audit committee chairman, as well as I'm integral part of the CSR. Let me ask her. Can you give me a mic, please?
Yes, he will.
Yeah, you have a mic.
You.
Apurva, the company secretary of L&T Finance, as well as chief sustainability officer. I'm admiring their work. That's why I said there are many. I'm going to come to you. Many of you, I know you here. I'm going to ask her, tell me, how do you define the policy? What are the policies you do in terms of your corporate ESG and CSR?
I think I'll just walk you through the journey in ESG that we as a company had. We started our journey in 2017-18. And like many of the speakers did cover, that you typically start your study by gathering the disclosures that you make. So that was the first 2 years that we did. The second phase was that what was the enhanced disclosure that would, let us go up the edge in terms of ratings or rankings, which meant that we had to look at various frameworks, be it GRI or be it the others, SASB, etc. We looked at that. The third was we said that about in 22, we said that we will move on the path of becoming an ESG conscious organization. So we wanted to build an organization which was ESG conscious. And towards that, the three things that we really worked on was on environment. If I take the first one, we took the carbon neutrality target. I think even in India today, not many banking sector industries have taken that. Second that we did was we are actually water neutral today as we speak. So we had done a lot of CSR activities way back in 15, 16, and that helped us. So whatever water we consume as an organization, we've already been able to replenish it back to the community. That's the second thing that we did on the E front. Social, there are two important components. You mentioned there are a lot of stakeholders. Yes, there are definitely a lot of stakeholders. But if I had to look at two important stakeholders, one would be the community and the other would be the employees. When we look at community, because I also head the CSR for L&T Finance, we have a very beautiful program, which is a digital and financial inclusion. It's about empowering women. We started with, digital and financial literacy for them. But today, as I stand and speak about that project, we've actually moved a lot in terms of what we did in that program. We empowered about 14,000 women entrepreneurs, wherein, we helped them increase their per annum revenue. We helped them for marketing, etc. At the same time, we've touched around 42 lakhs plus community members. And we've also done a convergence of about 60 crores. Convergence basically means Indian government has built up a lot of schemes for people. People are not aware of it. We ensure that these money go back into the rural India. So we're working a lot on the rural India. Last piece around governance, policies definitely play an important role. But I think before policies, what is important is your board. And when I look at from a board perspective, we have more than required proportion of independent directors because we believe that independence is a critical element for, any company.
I'm included.
Yes, sir. Indian regulations and, even in governance, we touched upon in terms of women directors. We have about 2 women directors. The mandatory requirement is 1 when you talk about in India. All our board of directors undergo the ESG training every year. So this is a way that, we ensure that board, right from the board level, we've put up systems and processes or, we help them undergo the training. And all the policies which are there are subject to a periodic review, which is an annual review. And we have put in a robust compliance system. So we have a 3 defense mechanism. First is the business, then is the compliance, and then it's the internal audit.
Good. You summed it up beautifully. Now, I'm going to ask you just a quick response. It's a philosophy she gave. What's your business model which is inclusive? Microloan, I thought it's
Yes.
appropriate.
So we lend to microloans and farm, and these are also, when you talk about an NBFC, what we do is we lend to underserved and unserved economic segments of people. And our 2 important products are microloans, but again, what we do is we give loans to women entrepreneurs at a grassroots level. And we also have farm loans where we give tractor loans, which again touch base with the agri, the sector in Indian economy. So these are the 2 important lending verticals that we.
I'm a witness to it. I went to, they took me, I said, listen, let me see on the field as an independent board member. I have not accepted many responsibilities simply because unless it is purposeful, God has been kind to me in my career. So I took responsibility and I insist that I've been part of CSR. I looked at the website and CSR was very, very, I took the chair and told the chairman, and after that I said, I'll get into the act. I accepted my responsibility. Now, I went with Apurva in this year, March. I went to Karnataka. Digital Shocky is their program, so you can look at their website. It's so gratifying for me. That day I was so happy. Downtrodden women, downtrodden. I saw their plight. Some are embroidery, some are workers, some are entrepreneurs, mind you. Some are running canteens, some are tailors, some are running a cleaning company, some are doing small trading, but they are entrepreneurs. And I had the privilege of giving them the check. Look at a smile. You find a God in them. They're empowered, women empowerment. That's the point I'm trying to. Gender equality is your sustainable development goal. Sustainability is all about recognizing everyone is equal. The world is unequal. Your job is to make sure you create a better world and it is an equal world. That's your bottom line. Humanity is an endeavor which is full of substance. You bring in eternity, you build humanity. Otherwise, there is no humanity. Understand this. This is not a short-term game. It's a long-term game in your lifespan. If at all there is one game, that is building human cultivation, creating a value for your society. That's what I saw. That can be done in retail. Retail enhancements, whichever be the business you run, you can do, you will do, if you understand the dynamics of what I'm saying. Factoring it. Okay, corporate side, I'll tell you how I did. A portion of the, I mentioned to you, a portion of the risk-weighted capital has to be allocated. What did I do? I'll tell you in a minute. Before that, I'm going to interact with Dr. Harish. NSE is a wonderful combination of people who are attending and addressing as well. Where is the mic? Mic is here.
Thank
Now
you.
tell me, from your perspective, as a National Stock Exchange, you are a Chief Sustainability Officer. Tell me your framework by which you are practicing this philosophy.
Thank you, Dr. Swaminathan. Good afternoon, everyone. So I was given this responsibility just 6 months back. In fact, I'm very happy to share that before me, our company secretary was heading this. And MD thought, a board of directors thought that we should bring a professional. I'm not saying that CS is not a professional. In fact, they were saying that something can be added. So first of all, I took this charge 6 months back. The first and foremost thing was we need to implement the assurance part. I don't know how many people are. So NSE is not a listed company, but NSE follow all the best practices of a listed corporates. And this year onwards, SEBI, our regulator, has mandated the top 150 company in terms of market share has to go for reasonable assurance. So BRSR, we are submitting from last 8 years, but BRSR assurance, this was the first time we did. And in assurance, auditor comes and he did the limited or full assurance around the BRSR core. So let me now share certain numbers and how we approach this. First of all, we created an ESG committee. So earlier there was a company secretary looking as a part-time charge CSO. Now I took over. We created an ESG committee, taking the people from all the major vertical, be it from secretariat, company secretary, the finance, the compliances team, then regulatory team, HR. So we created an ESG committee headed by a board of director. The lady who has the prior experience of CSR, she's a justice. So we created an ESG committee. The second thing was we went quite deep into each and every matrices we are tracking for making an implementation plan. So let me share certain data. NSE in scope 1 emission, scope 2 emission cumulative, we generate around 13% of our power from renewable sources, 13%. And we immediately took a call. Around 12 million units are coming from solar and wind, which we own. And we decided that by 2030, we will become a net zero in terms of our scope 1 and scope 2. For scope 3, we decided that our SME vendor base or our vendor base has to comply with BRSR core.
Yep.
So this, I think, the first time in India, any major company or you can say the large corporate is deciding that their SME vendor base also should comply with the BRSR core. I'm not sure how many other companies are doing, but we decided. Coming back to the second parameter of social side, we are around 37% of female in terms of gender ratio in our workforce.
Brilliant.
Out of the 30, but the problem is not that. 37% is reasonably good number, but in terms of their salary share, they're only 26%. We decided.
Let me ask you specific questions in terms of your exchange. Are you getting into carbon exchange in terms of carbon trading? Because
Yeah.
subject today given to me
Yes,
is
yes.
vital. Carbon trading is important. Components of carbon trading, you are impacting it.
So I had to answer in the two ways. First of all, India don't have an ETS. So we don't have any emission trading scheme, but there is a voluntary carbon market. At this stage, we have two options to become net zero. Either own my own resources in terms of solar, wind, or energy efficiency measure, or I buy the carbon credits. This year board has avoided this topic. They said, come with action plan. If you are investing capex in terms of adding solar, wind, energy efficiency measure, no need to go for carbon credit. But if you think you're not able to add sufficient capacity by 2027, we may surely buy carbon credits.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I'll come to you in a minute.
Yeah.
Now I have Subbu. I'm going to move forward because for want of limited time, I want everyone to understand the dynamics. The topic given is inclusive now when I say this. When it comes to circular economy, Mr. Subbu is here and Anita is also Anita, right? Yeah, you're Anita, Aditi. Say, stand up for a minute if you don't mind. Look at this jacket he is wearing. This has come from recycling. How do you,
PET bottles, yeah.
yeah, how do you do it? The processing, what is he wearing is, and the bag which Aditi has got. I don't know when. I'm not, yeah. You have the bag? Yeah. 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 Look at it. That's what it is. Reduce, reuse, recycle. That's the mission he has got. Ensuring, leave alone, it's a good commercial model. That's what I'm coming to.
Good commercial model. It's made money. 10 years ago, I identified this company as a fledgling recycling, as the speaker in the morning said, it was a recycling company. Today, it has become a circular economy company because it recycles your cool drink bottles and water bottles back to food grade PET that can be filled again with Coke or Pepsi. So when we invested, it was a recycling company. Today, it's a circular economy company. And I'm proud to say that it has made 10x in terms of returns for us over 7 years.
And it has got certified as well, right? The
Got
local,
certified as well by FDA, FSSAI, whoever has to certify food grade plastic, it has been certified.
ladies and gentlemen, I only showcase some of the cases. Give them all of a big hand, LNT, and National Stock Exchange, and yeah. Let us look at the subject of importance now, green structuring. How do you do? How do you do green? I can go for seed. I can ask for capital. Who is going to give me unless they understand the purpose behind it? So a green deal structuring, how do? You do it either by way of capital or by way of loan, green loan. Can I give a green loan? Yes, it is possible. So the criteria which are embedded into your business strategy in terms of, or the framework which has been green lending principles. If I am a banker, I can tell you, world over, United Nations conventional framework is there. As I said in the beginning, it could be of anything. It could be climate change, it could be green finance, it could be ESG. But a green bond is issued for debt paper, securities. Look at what has happened this year. This part of the world, 2018, Mazar, again, ask Mr. Meher will tell you, the first country to issue. Leave alone, you have a Baraka nuclear plant that's, again, producing electricity, and you have Etihad, the airways, transition financing, again. Transition financing comes in. I'm giving you a real-time example. These are not stories. Solar photovoltaic, the world's largest solar photovoltaic is here, Abu Dhabi. Concentrated solar plant is here, CSP. So the beauty of recognizing you can issue green bond. Who are all issuing green bond in the last few years? We'll look at it. 10.7 billion UAE has come out of the ESG as well as green bond. 2.5 billion as dollars. Dollars have come from Qatar this year in 2 tranches. It has come this year. Saudi Arabia has issued green bonds. Oman has issued in 2022. First green bond by Oman was in 2022. So you can have capital, you can have debt. Bankers, I have given green loans. I have given for water security. The biggest project. The biggest water. When I started this project, no bank was coming into action. No bank was trying to help me out. My board was very critical, constructively. They trusted me. That's why they kept me in the job for so long. I was producing return. They know that I'll give return, but how can I go and put 2.2 billion, $564 billion? That was the money I committed as an institution. Imagine my job is at stake if I don't produce. But you also have to understand the risk management part of it. I'll come to you in a minute. It's a huge, huge subject, but I'm not going to dwell on it because I'm giving you a flavor of it. Because the subject which Lakshman has given is a wide-ranging subject. I can go on for 3 days on the same subjects. I can discuss part by part. Not possible. within the time spelled out. You have to understand green loan is possible, green seed capital is possible, but it has to come from a structured framework. How do you do it? It's a public-private partnership model. Private companies can do. Public companies can do. Government can do. There are framework which you have to abide by it. You have to understand the dynamics of these changes. How do you do? When it comes to incentives, how do you frame it up? There has to be a partial guarantee. Otherwise, joint risk participation has to come from any institutions if they want to lend. There has to be a concessional interest rate has to come in. The green mission will not come without substance. The green mission will not come overnight. Green mission will not come unless you have a business advantage. Green mission will not come unless you understand subsidies are to be encouraged where there is a potential opportunities. Tariffs have to be put through when there is a highest carbon emission. These are interconnected. These are motivational. You demotivate someone who is not fit to run the business. You motivate someone who runs the business, who wants to run the business socially responsive. This is not a joke. You create a planet which is responsive. And if you are not respecting the cultural ambit of the society, how can you be conscious of anything and everything what you do? That's the bottom line. So structuring is possible. Yes, it is possible. I have structured it. Because the project gestation, if you look at the risk management part of it, there is a physical risk. There's any time there could be supervening event. If you're constructing something which has got wide-ranging execution risk, sales risk, because you have, now we talked about electricity. Deva is producing electricity. Where from? Solar. Etihad. Electricity. A portion of the electricity comes in for this UAE from Emirates. Their own internal consumption, captive, generated. It's not only producing carbon emission, they're also offsetting it, mind you. This is what exactly carbon neutral is all about. So there's a process which you have to go into. So unless there is a partial guarantee comes in, how do I encourage a SME, for example? I have a circular economy. I went to the bank in 2006. I said, I want to do SME. I can't compete with big banks. I'm a middle-class player. I want to take it to the different niche. I got into retail in 2002. So huge opportunity, digital advantage. We're the first one to bring in SMS banking, web banking, GPRS, mobile unit, name it, bank on wheel. Remarkable success in terms of market share. And it's not a joke. Market share from 4% to 28%. You look at my website, what Steve Forbes says about the leadership. Now, the reason why I'm saying this, digital advantage is embrace it. Virtual world is a beautiful world. Virtual world is beautiful. You can ask for the e-guard to answer you this question. He will tell you that's the way to go for it. Recognize there are opportunities in terms of real challenges, and you have to map it through the technology. So clean technology comes in. Clean energy systems comes in. Fossil fuel is a carbon emission. So how do you move to the transition? You move to the transition to net zero. That's a long way to go. Somewhere 2030. Green, UAE wants to convert into a green economy within the standard time. They have a formula. They have a framework. 2030, some countries, 2040, certain countries, 2050, certain countries, 2070 countries like India, they have a framework. But you have to transit. You cannot say, I will give a commitment. Today, the developed world and developing world are fighting each other. We know compliance architecture in Kyoto was a failure. We know when I attended in Bali in 2007, Conference of the Parties, nobody has agreed on the amount. We know in COP15, when the Universal Convention Framework with 192 countries have set in a clear mission and make sure that we will reduce the carbon emission, hundreds of billions have to be committed. Nobody came forward. Every year, you have to spend $4 trillion. How much? 4 trillion, mind you. This is not a joke. Who is going to fund it? Climate financing comes in. Without funding, how will you run it? That's why it's important. All these tools are vital. I asked Dr. Harish, because carbon trading is a tool. You have a buyer who is emitting. You have a seller who is offsetting it. You are making sure that there is a process settlement mechanism which is working, buying and selling. Because you plant trees, you have a credit. Amazon, Sub-Saharan Africa, you have enormous amount of opportunity to sell the piece of land. For forestation, plant a tree, make yourself, you get a credit. 1 ton you emit, you have to get 1 credit carbon dioxide. You have to buy 1 credit of the emission offset will come by buying 1 credit. Who is going to certify? The company secretaries here. Huge opportunity. There is a process which you have to understand. The risk management is going to be vital. Business, I explained to you. Zero transition will happen. Otherwise, we are putting this planet under cease. I will die. I'll go. I'll pass out. We all. But that's not going to solve the problem. You have to create a better world than what you are. You have to create a better world than your children and grandchildren. Yes? More than me, what I inherited, I need to create a better world for my children and grandchildren. And they have to create the same. If you don't do it, then who is responsible for this? Who is this planet ownership? Who owns this planet? We all, collective. Generations to come, it lost its value, enduring its value. And it will endure. The cosmic energy, the celestial voice, the planet, the Earth will be a part of this cosmic energy system, a small portion of a molecule. That's it. That's it. This is not something which is not perishable. It will endanger the solvency if you are not recognizing. That's what Meher has said. The challenges are real. In his own way, when he did a presentation, I was carefully observing it. So there's the beauty of this. Now, Arab world has committed for 461 billion. In total terms, they are asking the developed world, come on, put money. You put money, we will put money. Developing world, there are sea levels, rising temperature, animal extinctions. There are countries below the sea level. You have to understand, they will vanish anytime. I don't want to name the country. You know it. So unless developed world who has industrial revolution, 1, 2, 3, 4, now you have all sort of money made out of this carbon emission. Yes or no? Yes. Unless you offset it, who is going to take the responsibility accounting? Who owns it? End of the day, I'm asking this question. Who owns the sun? Who owns the land? Who owns the sky? Who owns the air? It's us, our future generations. Regenerative agriculture is possible. Recycling of humanity is possible. Reusing what you have used is possible. Water desalination is already taking place, right? Water desalination is taking place. Unless you purify the air, how do you survive? How do you survive? So it is a subject of greater importance for you to understand. I have absolute belief in my personal journey when I started that this planet will endure its value. This planet is beautiful. As I said, go and see this world. I've stamped over 100 countries in my passport. In this part of the world itself, the beauty which you don't need to go for any other country. In this region, you go and see the bioreserves. You will be amazed. You can't spend years. So much inhabitants, so much culture, so much diversity, so much oneness, so much value-driven opportunity for you to relax and make sure you preserve them. So wildfires are not helping. I'm not talking about that. The forestation is getting deforested. You bleed inside when you are conscious, socially responsive. You understand the dynamics of these challenges which we go through. When these wars are taking place, you will bleed inside because you know the purpose of life is not to have conflicts. So you want to live in harmony. You want to be cohesive. You want to be integrated, factor into your business model. Ensure all your risk. There are many risks. The operational risk is there when you lend. When you make sure you have strategic risk, when you have financial risk, liquidity will always be an issue. How do you create liquidity? Only by carbon trading. Harish will accept that. You have to create liquidity. You can't just keep on creating and taking credit. No, You have to sell it. You invest on forest, you invest on tree plantation, you want to sell it. You want to sell the credit. You want to create liquidity, recycle it again. You create liquidity. You create a market dynamics, which is going to be, so you need an aggregator. You need a platform for carbon trading. You need a certification for it. Who is issuing the certificates? Who is going to verify these standards? Where is the compliance architecture? Who is defining the framework in terms of integrated process, procedures, policies? How compliant it is? How can it be certified as green certification? How can it come from? How authentic it is? How valid it is? How it is circumstantially proven this is not duplicate accounting. Carbon accounting is a big subject, mind you. Carbon accounting is a very big subject. You can manipulate anything and everything. If I say, I sell this forest for you, Mr. Amazon, or rather Microsoft. Again, I sell it. How do you know which part I allocated? Who knows? Who has earmarked it? Where is the authenticity? Who has made sure this is aligned? Who has made sure it is numbered? Who's going to make sure the numbers are not duplicated? So it's not a game. It's not a game. The game changer is on. It is not. I'm putting you in a serious perspective simply for you to recognize the importance of the ethical and moral governance. Importance of ethical and moral governance when it comes to social responsibility accounting. So how do you administer? So you have a business model. Let me conclude. Let me conclude the content which has been given to me. Green financing, public-private partnership. I gave you enough example. I show you the case studies. I also showcased how you can do, how you should do carbon reduction. Carbon reduction can be done in many, many forms. One of the tool is the method which I mentioned, carbon trading. There is an absolute process by which you have to integrate all this into your framework. So unless you are conscious corporate, unless you are a corporate conscious person, you will not be running anything which is sensible. You will, okay, my life is over. Why do I bother about others? If you start thinking like this, you are endangering your own solvency. Your wish is not fulfilled. You want to recognize there are greater challenges to this humanity, which is going to endure its value. So the point I'm trying to articulate is quite simple. Quite simple, yet it has got enormous amount of content, realization. Because you have to understand, unless you embrace the nature, you are not natural. Unless you understand the nature, you are not going to protect. That's why Maher is mentioning 3 factors. Environmental pillars, social, right? Social factors, society as a whole has got a role to play, right? Economic factor, nothing what I said is a charity. Nothing what I said is a giveaway. It's a core commercial model. It's a core commercial model. You can make money out of carbon trading. You can make money in terms of green lending. You can make money in terms of selling carbon. You can carbon credit rather. You can also make money by offsetting it. You can also creating a carbon aggregate platform. You can make money. You can also make money by certification, validation, maintaining an authentic records. That's all the job you have. So you can create jobs. So that's why national policies are important. India has got their own framework. UAE has got a national convention framework. There are green funds available. Entrepreneurs who are aspiring entrepreneurs, go and take green funds from this part of the world. You are creating value, so they are supporting you. Concessional advantage, freebies, you have tax holidays, you have taxation. Now, you have to understand a bigger issue now. Carbon trading is going to be intra-globe trade. It is not going to be carbon. Where is the road for carbon? It flies. Air pollution is what? It's not for your own house. It transcends borders. So taxonomies, you call it as taxonomies. Taxonomies comes in. Have you thought about it? So international regulation has to get in terms of global governance. It's a beautiful subject. One of my PhD was in global governance. Another one was on green banking and sustainability. The third one, I realized, what is this people are migrating from one place to, we live in one family. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, as the Indian Prime Minister always says, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, one world, one planet, one family, right? If you understand this dynamics, the transcending borders, people migration is only incidental, irrespective of citizenship. Whichever passport you command, it doesn't matter. You are a human, right? So the centerpiece of the three pillars which Meher has mentioned is incidental to the framework. On one centerpiece, humanity. If you understand a human trajectory and the challenges humanity has to face, whether it is women participation in the governance, whether it is elimination of extreme poverty, whether it is zero hunger, whether it is what is living under the sea, below the water, what is on land, sustainable production, sustainable consumption, clean water, clean energy, sustainable cities like Abu Dhabi, or even for that matter, making sure you reduce the income inequality between haves and have-nots, or even build a partnership to achieve all this. You need to believe in only one thing. You have to be a good person. You have to be a good person. You have to be a conscious person. If one conscious person can create one society or one corporate, a group of one good society can create one nation. One group of nations, good nations, can create United Nations. That's what humanity is all about. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an absolute pleasure for me to share with you my thoughts. Thank you for your kind attention. Any questions? Sorry, I forgot to dimension. Any questions? I want to run through many known faces, but unfortunately I couldn't do justice to the time. Yes, please. Yeah, hand over the mic, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Sir, I don't have a question, but I am a practicing CS from India. My name is Shweta, and I would just like to add one thing. When we are talking about bringing in investments when it comes to the sustainable development related issues, one of the initiatives that Indian stock exchanges have taken, so both the platforms, BSE and NSE, they have come up with a concept called social stock exchange, wherein even the retail investors can put in money into profit-making organizations as well as non-profit-making organizations, which are specially focused on the impact areas that they have given. I just wanted to bring it to the attention of all the people, since we are talking about sustainability and this, I thought this will be a good value addition that India is taking baby steps. It's just been 2 years since it has been set up, and it is yet to take that momentum that it is needed. But I'm sure with the growing awareness, there will be a lot to see in this space. Thank you.
Thank you. It's a wonderful impact investment. I have a special reason to admire. My daughter's name is also Shweta, incidentally. Any other questions anyone has got? Anything on the subjects which is, where you should only blame Lakshman and the president sitting behind him? Because how can you interact in 45 minutes a subject which is encompassing structuring a green finance is a most complicated subject before lunch even. And again, for role of public-private partnership, these are the topics they gave me. I didn't ask them. They gave me this topic. So I hope it was productive. Do you all have a value addition from what I said? Enjoy the rest of the conference. I enjoyed interacting with you all. I look forward to associate with you. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you, Dr. Sitharaman. Okay. Thank you for the engaging session and spotting out the examples from the participants who are part of the ESG journey. Yes, we all hold responsibility towards our future generations, and that is the takeaway. That is a takeaway for me from your presentation today. I would now request Mr. Ronak to felicitate Dr. Sitaraman.